Okay, so welcome back.
Hi, good to see you again.
After some technical issues, here we are. So I'm so glad to have you guys back because last time we talked all about your product line in general and your pouches, but today we're going to talk about something very important, given what's happening right now to this country in terms of this crisis that we're in. Parents are having a really hard time getting their hands on formula, and if they do get their hands on formula, they're wondering, is it contaminated? Is it safe? What can we do to help our babies? And so I'm really glad that we're here talking about your formula. And I have all sorts of questions, but I'll preface that with saying that I have been feeding my baby HIP European formula basically since she was born. And we started your formula maybe like a month ago, and it's been a smooth transition. It's been really great, and I'm so happy to be able to give her something that I know does not have questionable ingredients in it, which even though HIP was in my research, like it was a better option than what was out here in this country, there were still questionable industrial seed oils and things like that I was just not happy to give her all the time. So welcome back. Let's chat all things formula. And I guess the first thing to talk about and what parents might be wondering is the label says toddler formula, right? So what about babies that are 6 months or even infants? Like how can we approach this, your product, and when is the best time to introduce to our children, especially right now with what's happening?
Such a good question. You want to answer?
Sure. So the FDA, regulates infant formula. It's the most heavily regulated products.
As it should be.
As it should be, of course.
Absolutely.
The FDA's process is quite old. It was designed in the Infant Formula Act of 1980. It was updated again in 1987, but that's the last time it was updated. So it's based on very old science. They have a lot of archaic rules that are full of red tape. Makes it very hard to get an infant formula certified. Mm-hmm. So a lot of companies like us release a formula, and they call it a toddler formula, which is allowed to be marketed to a baby's 12 months and up. Have to call it toddler formula, have to say it's for 12 months and up. So we are not certified as an infant formula yet. So we have to call it toddler. We are only allowed to recommend it for 12 months up, or if you can consult with a health practitioner and find out what's best for your baby. What we can say is we formulated it to be an infant formula, so we based it on the nutritional needs of babies 4 to 6 months old.
Because that's typically when a mom might go back to work, and the range when a lot of moms who wean, it's often when they wean around that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Match breast milk as closely as possible. In fact, it's more similar to breast milk than any other formula ever created. Our scientists read over 200 studies on breast milk worldwide, evaluated hundreds of ingredients to match the nutritional profile of breast milk as closely as possible. So that's one of the reasons our formula has so many unique ingredients, because we started from scratch with the real basis of breast milk, the most nutrient dense ingredients, and put it together in our A2, grass-fed whole milk formula. So it is classified as toddler. So it's a little confusing for parents, but if you do your research, we do meet the 29 nutrients required by the FDA. All of our ingredients have some kind of evidence globally that they're safe for infants. So that's the European standard. If we were in Europe says, are your ingredients recognized as safe? Do you meet our nutrient profile? If so, you get to be an infant formula. In the US, that's the first 2 steps, but then you have to complete infant feeding studies that take 3 years and many millions of dollars to complete. And that's the stage that we've not completed yet. And we're actually advocating be removed as a barrier to entry that has caused this formula crisis.
Agreed, 100%. So basically, you formulated the formula with infants in mind, meeting that nutritional profile, but red tape is stopping you from marketing it as such, right?
Exactly.
Okay, great. So I guess I think we talked about this in the last chat. What parents can do, what you guys can do out there is take the formula or the label or the nutrition label, all the information, talk to your pediatrician and see, look, this is what I want to give my baby. is it okay? These are the ingredients. Like, what do you think? And then have a conversation with your pediatrician and see what they say.
We have a great one pager we can send you that you can bring to your pediatrician that outlines all of the information and how it compares to other formulas and breast milk and so forth. So feel free to contact us and we can send you that one pager.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Serenity Kids, your website, serenitykids.com. Perfect. So I've got the packaging here. Let's talk about, so it's made with my favorite, no corn syrup, no refined, no rice or corn syrup, no gluten, and no industrial seed oils. Let's talk a little bit about what are industrial seed oils and why do we not want them in our baby's formula?
Yeah, so industrial seed oils have a long history and they're basically industrial waste products a lot of the time. It is things that come from food processing, and certain crops are grown to be industrial seed oils. They are highly refined, bleached, deodorized. They have all kinds of chemicals in them, solvents and all kinds of things to make them more easier liquids, to make them more shelf stable so they can last years and years and years on the shelf without going, well, they actually are going rancid, they just don't smell rancid because they're deodorized. So they're full of just bad fats, right? Trans fats are a bad fat. They're not full of that, but they are not a super healthy fat. And they're highly inflammatory in the body. But I've learned since I started making formula that they're really easy to use for factories. So our fats, which is the thing I'm most proud of, frankly, in our formula, we use 8 different sources of fats. And a lot of them are solid, semi-solid, sticky, they don't come in these giant 1,000-pound totes that are easy with this little vacuum thing. They have to be melted or they need to be dug out with a big spatula. Like they're kind of harder to work with. And that's what helps them be more nutritious. And it also has them be more expensive. So our formula is the best formula on the planet from all the ones I've seen so far. And the fats and not having the industrial seed oils and having all of this wide range of fatty acids, because of course, breast milk has a huge wide range of different types of fats, fatty acids, lots of saturated fats. Industrial seed oils just don't have that nutrition.
That's great. And so many parents might not know let's give examples of what are industrial seed oils. What might they recognize in a nutrition label?
It would be canola oil. It would be safflower oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil.
Rapeseed.
There's a long, long list of them. You Google industrial seed oils and you find them all there. It's most of the ones that have seed in it, a lot of them.
It's a little bit easier to say what aren't. There's fewer oils that are not. So oils are coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, and then any animal fat like butter, ghee, chicken fat, duck fat.
We use cocoa butter.
Cocoa butter is a great one.
Algal oil.
Yeah, let's list off your. So I'm looking at your ingredients here, and you've got the whey protein, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, palm oil, cocoa butter, and then you've got algal oil. That's for the DHA, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, I had a question about that in a minute, but now we're on oils. So I mean, yeah, these are all, some parents might say, I think there's like a big thing right now about palm oil and sustainability. So what can you say about the role that palm oil plays in your product?
We thought long and hard about palm oil, as we did many of the ingredients in here. And basically every time we bumped up against a decision, a hard choice, like the palm oil choice, do we include it or do we not? We went back to what is best for babies. And palmitic acid is the most prevalent fatty acid in breast milk. And palm oil is one of the best sources of palmitic acid outside of industrial seed oils. So we had to choose, did we want to find that palmitic acid in the palm oil, or did we want to use an industrial seed oil for that? Now, you and I know we were anti-industrial seed oils. We went with the palm oil, but it is regenerative. It is sustainably sourced, certified sustainable sourcing. Yeah. And that was really important to us as parents and as friends.
And there's a very small amount of the percentage of palmitic is,
that's right.
There's small.
There's also some some, in my opinion, a myth out there that palm oil period is bad for babies and should not be put into formula because of the way it's digested. Those studies were done back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they were done on formulas that actually had a very high percentage of palm oil, like 60% of the fat was palm oil. And so there haven't really been studies since then that are showing smaller amounts, but as you're a mom of a kid who eats our product, right, have not had adverse reactions. And we have a lot of really positive testimonies. And we get, not everyone who buys our product or tells us how awesome it is leaves an actual review. We get a lot of emails, a lot of comments about baby's digestion and like, oh, it wasn't doing so great on this other formula. And now my kid's having great poops. I mean, it's good news, right?
Yeah, it is. It's great news. And so to recap, the major formula makers are choosing to use a lot of industrial seed oils because, as you said, it is cost effective from a business standpoint, right? And it's a lot easier to mix with all the other ingredients, right? Right. So the fact that your fat sources require more processing is actually a good sign because it shows that it's not as denatured. It's in its more whole form versus being stripped and processed. And again, what we said about the industrial seed oils being inflammatory, if a baby's having, however many ounces a day of that every single day, that might also be another reason why they might be experiencing some kind of digestive upset, and parents might not even know it.
Bingo.
Parents might not even know it. I love that. So we've got super healthy fat sources, and DHA being super important for a baby's developing nervous system in their brain. What I've wondered was, what was the choice to go for algal oil versus like a fish oil? What led you to that?
Yeah, one of the formulas that I had fed Della when she was a baby was Sammy's milk, and they used fish oil. And so I was sort of planning to use fish oil, or that was in the back of my mind because I knew I wanted a great source of DHA. But Dr. Sarah Ballantyne, who was our scientist behind this project, she said, you know what? The reason that those fish have that great DHA in their bodies is because they eat the algae. It comes from the algae in general. And I also knew, as the mom of a toddler who had drank fish oil fortified formula, doesn't smell so good.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that fishy
so
smell
good.
sticks.
So and I had decided we were going to use fish oil unless we could find a really great source of algal oil. And man, we sure did. We found wild algal oil sourced off the coast of Canada that is super duper clean. And we had to work with a factory. They'd never used algal oil before, as you can imagine. So we worked it in where they kind of add it in one of the later steps in the process so that it doesn't get cooked too much, so that the smell and the taste remains pretty mild in the formula itself.
Because it's, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, you can't notice anything.
And the wild algal oil also is one of the things that kept us from being fully certified organic. You can't get USDA organic certification on something that's wild. They only certify products that are grown so they can control the inputs. So, same thing for our wildcat salmon product in our baby food line also can't be certified organic because it's wild. And so again, it was a place where, well, do we use a lesser quality DHA and get this USDA organic bug, or do we go for what's healthiest for babies and forego that certification? We decided to do that and tell the story. And all the products are organic; they're just not certified because you can't certify wild. They haven't figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because that was something that I was going to ask. So yeah, I noticed everything in there on the ingredients is organic, but it's not certified organic. So I guess this is a lesson for myself and for other parents. Sometimes I can try to be a little too myopic in the sense of like, has to be certified organic, has to be this, has to be that. But then like, there's so many other factors that we're not seeing. And you don't think about that. Like thank you for weighing out, which decision do we want to go? Sometimes the decision to that's good for the bottom line or for the business is not necessarily in harmony with what's good for the end consumer. And I know that your mission is babies first above all. So thank you for that, because we need more of you guys. We need more companies like this on the market. So let's talk about your A2 milk source, and we can kind of like geek out on the A2 versus A1 and all that. But what I really wanted to share with the parents watching this is you partnered with a really cool, like, a farm in the US. They practice regenerative agriculture. And if you guys don't know about regenerative agriculture, which is another part of your mission, listen to the other interview that we did, and Joe goes deep into detail in that. But let's talk a little bit about that, like the quality of your actual milk, and why that might be more superior than most things out there right now.
Absolutely. So, so you want to talk about the sourcing first, and then we can talk about the A1, A2 thing?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Alexander Family Farm was one of the keys to this project. Milk, we knew it was going to be milk, some kind of milk as the base, whether goats or cow's milk. And we wanted to be the best quality milk as possible. And particularly, we wanted to have the A2 beta casein protein, which we'll talk about in a minute. So we weren't sure we were able to find that had the right quality, the right sourcing, that, had the quantities that we would need, the quality standards that formula requires. And all of it came true with Alexander Family Farm, this beautiful 6th generation family farm in the very north tip of California. Beautiful, beautiful farm, long time regenerative farm. They were the first farm in America to be recognized by the Savory Institute as regenerative. So they've been doing this for 20 years. Before regenerative was even a term, they've been regenerating their land with the way they raise their cows. They have a multi-species approach with dairy cows, with beef cows, with chickens, and with some crops, and they rotate everything. And there's a whole beautiful plan where they manage the land in a way that is regenerating. They're increasing their soil microbial growth. They're reducing runoff. They're sequestering carbon. And the quality of the milk is so high, we tested it for nutritionals and determined that we didn't have to add as many other vitamins because health was already so quality. And the taste and the smell you alert to, a lot of it comes from that milk, because these are animals that are grass-fed. They're living the lifestyle nature intended for them. They're living in herds on grass on really well-managed land and producing this, really incredible A2 whole milk. And, we use the whole milk. Most other formulas, almost all other formulas, use skim milk. They take non-fat milk, and then, which is cheaper and easier to get, and then they add the fat back in with these industrial seed oils. So we kept all the milk fat in there, which had a lot of raw basic nutrition in it. And then we supplemented with the other fats, as we said. But we went out there with this really awesome video on our website about the story of the farm and getting
I saw it. Great video. Everyone
cooked us home.
Awesome.
Our whole team, the whole time we were there, like, they're really good people.
I mean, I remember the first time I talked to her, it was me and Joe and Stephanie and Blake, and we were on a Zoom call. COVID had just started. So like, we were trying to figure out how to use Zoom. And at some point, Stephanie and I were both crying because we were so happy that we found each other, because they had been wanting to help make a better formula and to figure out how to do that, because they knew most formula was junky, right? Full of junky ingredients, but it just wasn't their thing. They're dairy farmers. And so then she had heard us on a podcast years before, and then we reached out, and it was like this beautiful, magical relationship where both of our hearts really got satisfied by making something that we know how to make really, really well, that just elevates the health of babies everywhere.
I love that. And I mean, I was mentioning this before we started the interview, but we just switched from HIP to you guys. And the one thing that I noticed when I opened the can is, I don't think this is an open. Oh yeah, it is our open one. How fresh this smells compared to HIP. And I think that goes back to what you were saying right now, Joe, about the quality of the milk. But also, I think it's important for parents to understand the process of making infant formula. that they start off with the skim milk, they strip the fat, and then they add in the industrial seed oils. So the smell difference was just, man, I had to tell my husband, Ash, come over here. You have to smell this, and smell this. It's like night and day. So yeah. And so we've got, let's see, I think we've talked about all of the major ingredients. I mean, what a great profile, great ingredients, organic, trusted sources, clean label project, Purity Award, which if you want to know more about the Clean Label Project, we also talked about that in our last chat. But I guess my question is, I'm just, as a mom and as someone in the business of supporting mothers be the best mothers they can be, I'm really excited for you to bring this to the market at a time like this right now, where everyone is just scrambling. And, supply chain issues led to this perfect storm of a catastrophe. So my question is, do you have systems in place to preempt that from happening with you guys, with your formula, and to make sure that the families that are served by your products can trust that we'll be able to find your products, that we can, find your products for the long term?
Yeah, so that was a big concern of mine. In fact, when we started selling this formula, I had a big meeting with everybody. I was like, okay, guys, we can run out of beef pouches every now and then. We can run out of puffs every now and then. We cannot under any circumstances run out of this. It is a baby's only food, the only thing that they eat for a lot of the babies. So that's not an option. What do we have to do to maintain our supply? And it has not been easy. Our sales are straight through the roof, right? It is hard to get time on a manufacturing line, but I will tell you, our factory is in Ohio, and it is by far, like hands down, the cleanest factory I have ever been in my life. You could eat off the floor there, literally eat off the floor. They have a shoe capture program where you can't even take your shoes outside the factory, like they only get worn there. And it is super duper clean. It's brand new. It's a 2 or 3 year old facility. So it's state of the art. It's the best one in the country. And they are really working hard to take their already really great quality controls and increase them even more, given all the news. They've been studying every single issue that's happening at other plants. They're making sure that they increase their quality protocol, that they don't have that issue in the first place. They have better drains. They have better air exhaust systems and airflow systems. They kind of have better everything. So our factory itself is amazingly clean, and I feel really, really strongly and I'm committed to great quality. And I know that they can help us achieve that. From a supply chain perspective, it's not been easy. We've got all these new customers, right? So we've done a really good job at maintaining our supply. And for the new customers, we're trying to get as many of them onboarded as possible. We have switched our online sales to be subscription only for those babies who it is their only food, right? We want to protect those customers first and foremost. So we do sell online, mostly for subscribers at the moment. We're working on expanding that to be one-offs here and there.
We protect our subscribers first for formula and really all of our products. Like whenever we have shortages, we withhold a certain amount for our subscribers because we know they're the ones who are the most dedicated. They, obviously are relying on the product a lot and formula. So we've even with the shortages that we've experienced with the increased growth, we've still never gone out of stock for our subscribers on the formula product, and we are actually back in stock for non-subscribers now as well. So you can still go and buy.
Okay, that's really great, because I know some of the other new players on the market have had to stop accepting new subscriptions because of.
Yeah, we never stopped accepting new ones. Yeah, we withheld enough that people could join new. Now you can buy one time as well in addition to subscription. But if you're worried about the shortages, the way to make sure you keep it is just be one of our subscribers, and then you also get the best price. It's the biggest discount.
And then we also sell in retail. So Whole Foods and Sprouts are 2 of our big customers that for moms that maybe use this as a supplement or just every now and then, right? That's an easy place to go grab it.
Yeah, fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like the moms and the dads watching this to know, given
There were
everything
two
that's
other
happening?
big differences about our formula. One of them was folic acid.
That's right.
That was also the European brands all still use folic acid.
Synthetic folic
Yeah, you want
acid.
to talk about that?
So, I can get super nerdy here, but I'm not going to bore everybody and put everybody to sleep talking about epigenetics and genetics. But people that have you may or may not have heard of the MTHFR genetic mutation, which a lot of our population in the United States has.
40%.
It makes it hard for the liver to process unmethylated B vitamins. So synthetic folic acid is one of those unmethylated B vitamins that I have one of the mutations. Joe has one of the mutations. So our daughter likely might have one. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any synthetic folic acid in there. So we buy folate, which is 20 times the price of synthetic folic acid. My supply chain director was like, are you sure you want me to buy this? Like, I might need to send it by armored vehicle. I'm not sure how this is going to work. Can we even afford to do that? Right. But it was really important to me. So we use the folate and we use methylcobalamin for one of the other B vitamins. It's the methylated version, because I knew that so many babies were going to be eating it, and that processing those vitamins it can actually, if you have the MTHFR mutation, it can actually be harmful, and all that folic acid can build up in your liver and in your system and be toxic over time. So that's something that really freaked me out, and I knew that I was committed to that. And also as many natural forms of vitamins as we could. There's some synthetic forms in there because some of the natural ones just aren't stable in room temperature or can't be processed through the processing or that kind of thing. Wherever we could, we used the most natural forms of the vitamins. And that's something that long term, I want to even get better at and help build out supply chains for better sources for those vitamins.
And fiber.
Fantastic.
Oh, we also have fiber in ours, which not everybody does. And it's not a lot of fiber, right? It's not going to make your kid gassy, but it's just enough fiber to feed their little gut flora, right? The gut microbiome is such an important thing. So we use prebiotics. We use Jerusalem artichoke and inulin and some of those saccharides that really help build up that great microbiome.
It's something breast milk has that most formulas forget to it. Like they say they're like breast milk, but then they leave out this key macronutrient. So we're one of the few that has that as well.
That's true.
So when babies drink this formula, they're feeding their good gut bugs and keeping things in tip-top shape there, which, I think we talked about this last time, but I'm crazy about gut health because of my own gut health issues. So this little girl, my daughter's we're going to just probiotic. She loves sauerkraut, loves it. Yeah. So amazing. So they can find you if you want to subscribe to the formula, do it directly from the site. If you want to just, kind of try it out, go to Whole Foods, going to find you there. And then what was the other one? Sprouts, you said? Amazon.
Sprouts, Wegmans, Meijer. We're about to launch an HEB.
The major ones. Thrive Market, your formula's on there.
Thrive Market, and yes, and then Amazon and our website.
My Serenity Kids.
MySerenityKids.com.
Fantastic. Okay, well, best of luck to you guys with all of this stuff, and just thank you so much for caring, and your parents and you're also business owners, but thank you so much for caring about the quality and the end result with everything that you guys produce.
Sure. So glad we can feed your
Right?
back.
Yeah.
Makes my heart happy.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. And let's see, we'll catch you guys next time. Next time you guys have a new product out, I wanna test it out and try it out.